we're going to start learning target 9 today. And on your note sheet, we're starting in the middle. I think this is an easier place to start, but learning target 9 is all the same. So it wasn't by itself on a quiz because it's hard, just because the last 4 learning targets were a lot of work, and so I was trying to split the work up for you guys. Learning target 9 is solving equations with trig functions, and so you're going to combine a lot of things you've learned in this unit, but it's just solving equations in its essence. So the first one, it says to solve each equation for 0 to 360. So that means we need to use the unit circle. Okay, so you should have your unit circle out. And so on the first one, it says sine x times cotangent x. Well, I can't divide something to make that easier, but we can rewrite things. So cotangent x is, of course, equal to cosine x over sine x, just like in learning target 3 and 4. So we can cancel out this sine x, and we get cosine x equals the square root of 3 over 2. So now you're going to use that idea of inverses, because we're trying to solve for x, so we would use the inverse cosine. But on your unit circle, that just means we're looking to see where the cosine is the square root of 3 over 2. So x would be that angle measure. So if you go around your unit circle, you should see that 2 times. Once at 30 degrees, and once at 330 degrees. So just using your unit circle to find where this statement would be true. Sounds pretty easy, no big deal. On the second one, I have cosine of 2x equals sine squared x minus 2. Now it's going to be hard if we have more than one trig function if we can't factor anything. And right now I'm not in a place where I can factor anything. But I do know that cosine 2x is an identity. Now on the red formula sheet, you only know one of them. You know that cosine 2x is cosine squared x minus sine squared x. But there were others. I just didn't provide them for you on the last quiz. If you need them, I'll write them down and have them provided for you. You don't have to memorize them. And since I'm doing this one with you, it's not a big deal. But cosine 2x is also equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared x. I'm going to use that version because now everything is in terms of sine. I have sine squared, I have sine squared. There's no other random trig functions I have to split apart or anything like that. And now we're just solving a basic equation. I'm going to put all of the x's on the same side, and I'm then going to move all of the constants to the other side, just like you would in algebra. So I've got 3 sine squared x. I'm going to add 2 to each side. And I get 3 equals 3 sine squared x. And then I divide by 3. So 1 equals sine squared x. So we would need to take the square root. So you get positive or negative 1. That's the piece that you guys are going to mess up on. When you take a square root, you get a positive or a negative. So I have 2 equations. I have sine x equals 1, and I have sine x equals negative 1. So in the same process, we're going to take the unit circle and look for both of these values. So we have 2 equations to solve. So sine x equals 1 at 90 degrees, and sine x equals negative 1 at 270 degrees. So same process, we're just solving an equation. Just remember when you take a square root, you can have a positive or negative version of that number. The other 2 problems in your note sheet are the same. The directions are just different, and that's going to happen throughout learning target 9. The same as the directions are different. So here it says solve each equation for 0 to 2 pi. So that just means that your answers are going to be in radian form instead of degrees. That's all it means. So we have, again, a basic equation here on the first one. So we're going to subtract 1 from each side, and we get 3 tangent squared x equals negative 1. So we're going to divide by 3. So I guess I should have added, huh? So then tangent squared x equals positive 1 over 3. We're going to take the square root. So tangent x equals positive or negative. The square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 3 we can't simplify. And then we just need to rationalize that, so we multiply the square root of 3. So positive or negative square root of 3 over 3. So again, simple solving, add 1, divide by 3, take a square root. Again, when you take a square root, you can get positive or negative. So I've got two equations to solve. Tangent x equals the square root of 3 over 3, and tangent x equals the negative square root of 3 over 3. And so again, you're looking at our unit circle. We wrote those down in the unit circle the last time we talked about tangent. We did double angle identities, that kind of thing. So for positive square root of 3 over 3, x equals pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. And then for negative square root of 3 over 3, x equals 5 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So all of those answers are correct answers. If you only give me a few of them, you won't get full credit on the quiz. So all of these are correct. So you would have to have 4 answers to get full credit on your quiz. Again, that's just where tangent x is the square root of 3 over 3 and tangent x is the negative square root of 3 over 3. Alright, one more question. So here I have cosine squared minus cosine x plus 1 equals sine squared x. So I've got cosine here twice. It would be nice if everything was in terms of cosine, because then I could try to do something with that. Right now I can't do anything with that. There's too much stuff going on. So, going back to things we learned at the beginning of the unit. Sine squared x. Well, I know that cosine squared x plus sine squared x equals 1. So sine squared x also equals 1 minus cosine squared x. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to substitute that value in for sine squared x. So cosine squared x minus cosine x plus 1 equals 1 minus cosine squared x. And now I can solve some things, and hopefully some things will go away. I'm going to add cosine squared x. So I've got 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x plus 1 equals 1. I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. So 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x equals 0. And now we're in a unique position. If I have one side equal to 0, if I factor, I can use the zero product property, which says that I can set each factor equal to 0. So if we're factoring, note that there is a cosine in each term, so they have a cosine in common. So I'm going to take a cosine x out. That leaves 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0. And so now I can split this into 2 factors, 1, 2, and set them both equal to 0. So cosine x equals 0, and 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0. So then we're just going to rewrite the second one. So I'm going to have add 1, so 2 cosine x equals 1. I'm going to divide by 2, so cosine x equals 1/2. So I've solved both of those, and now I just need to give the measures for each of those, what x equals, the angles. So you actually have to give what x equals. So on the first one, cosine x equals 0. Well, if you look on the unit circle, cosine x equals 0 at pi over 2, and at 3 pi over 2. And cosine x equals 1/2 at pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3. So again, in essence, you're solving equations. We'll do some more things tomorrow you can think about. Make sure, though, you're using things you've learned already. Learning target 3 and 4. Can you simplify something? Can you substitute something in that's an identity? So if you're using those things, you should be all right to start the homework. But again, we'll finish it all tomorrow. It's all the same, though. You're going to be solving equations. Just the directions are all going to be a little bit different.